Well, it's time now to take a look at what newspapers around the world are focusing on this Tuesday. And our press reviewer, James Creedon, joins me now to do just that. Hello, James.
Hi,
right, so we're going to start off with the UK paper, The Guardian, because they're focusing on those Libyan refugees in a boat.
That's right. It was the big story yesterday. We'll have a look at yesterday's front page, perhaps. First of all, NATO units left 61 migrants to die of hunger and thirst. Now, this is a ship, a boat that left Tripoli on the 25th of March, was adrift at sea for 16 days with mainly sub-Saharan African migrants coming from Libya because of the conflict there, trying to get to the Italian island of Lampedusa. Now, 61 perished in that trip. They say that the Guardian's report yesterday claimed that the boat came into contact with two different European military units, a helicopter that was sent by an unidentified European country, which dropped water and food to the stricken boat, promising that a rescue boat would come back. No rescue boat ever emerged, and we don't know who sent that helicopter, even though those refugees on the boat had made contact with an Italian refugee agency. So it's thought that maybe that refugee agency got in touch with the Italian Coast Guard. But we don't know the identity of this helicopter. They also came in contact in late March with a NATO aircraft carrier. So the 9 survivors, there are only 9 survivors on this boat, claim. Now, we don't know the identity of that NATO aircraft carrier. We don't even know if it was from NATO. The Guardian yesterday said that it was quite likely that it was likely to be the French vessel, the Charles de Gaulle, operating off the Libyan coast at the time. The French Navy has denied that. So as we can see, this is still front page news for the Guardian this morning. If we move to the Independent, on this story, they say they say that NATO has said the only carrier active at the time was the Italian ship Garibaldi, 100 nautical miles out to sea from Libya. So we don't know what NATO vessel.
The blame perhaps being passed around.
Exactly, didn't come to the assistance of these refugees. Now, in that article in The Independent, they're broadening it out to a much, saying that this is a much bigger phenomenon than that one boat. Indeed, last Friday, it is thought that a boat full of 600 refugees went down off the coast of Libya, which would make it the biggest disaster of its kind that we know of. Since March, 3 boats are thought to have sunk, and dozens are thought to have left the coast of Libya, for Italy in particular, where 10,000 refugees have ended up since the conflict began several months ago. So they're basically saying that it's a big issue, and the UN has said that the UNHCR has said that there needs to be more coordination between the Coast Guard and military vessels and all of that. Also in The Independent, they're saying that this tragedy is being ignored because the victims are not white. And this is Jerome Taylor's take. He describes a graveyard of battered boats in the port of Lampedusa, more used to receiving the luxury yachts of Italy's elite. And he basically says that if these people who get onto these unseaworthy boats and are trafficked over to Europe, if they were white, it would be on the front page of every European newspaper. So it's a big issue right now, these new boat people, as they're being called.
Indeed. Well, let's move on to the New York Times, because they're focusing on the US relationship with Pakistan following that raid on Osama bin Laden's
worsening relations indeed. And we learned this morning in the New York Times that the US was ready for a fight with Pakistanis in the bin Laden raid. Obama insisted that the assault force sent in for bin Laden be large enough to fight its way out if Pakistan put up some resistance in terms of police or troops. So they're saying that this shows a big lack of trust. Now, if we move to The Nation in Pakistan, we can see that perhaps some people there are unhappy about these accusations. The Prime Minister, Pakistan's Prime Minister, reminded the US in Parliament yesterday of Qaeda's genesis. They're saying that that the US funded the 1990s war in Pakistan, which ultimately gave birth to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. He said it's unfair for Pakistan to take all the blame. We did not invite him to Pakistan. This is Osama bin Laden. So, yes, it's ongoing back and forth, tit for tat in the media over this issue.
Absolutely. Now, moving back to the UK paper, The Guardian, they're covering a rather French story this Tuesday, aren't they?
That's right. So-called Porschegate. Now, this is Dominique Strauss Kahn, the front runner for the Socialists to get their nomination for the presidential election next year. Now, he is the head of the IMF and quite a wealthy man, but of course he's trying to downplay that to win the left vote, or to at least, if he, of course, stands. Now, he was seen getting into a Porsche on front of his luxury flat in Paris last week. It's now being dubbed Porschegate because, of course, he is trying to shed the reputation of being a haughty champagne socialist. And just one quick comment, François Mitterrand, who was elected 30 years ago today as the socialist president, his slogan was La Force Tranquille. That was what he was known for, the quiet force. Now, DSK, or Dominique Strauss Kahn, has been dubbed La Porsche Tranquille.
Excellent.
The kind of quiet Porsche.
Good play on words.
Bad
Thank you
PR.
very much. Thank you very much indeed, James, for that look at all today's international newspapers.